Hello, my name is Stephen. I am a 50-year-old retired teacher. Tonight, as the wind howls outside and the snow blankets everything with a silent, frosty shroud, a small, unexpected knock startles me from my reading. It's late, and who could possibly be visiting at this hour? Pulling on my sweater, I shuffle to the door, curious and slightly concerned. Peering through the frost-laced glass, I see a small figure, hunched and shivering on the porch. It's Roy, my 7-year-old grandson, his cheeks red from the cold, his eyes wide and frightened. "Grandpa," he stammers as I open the door, "Mom and Dad, they said I should stay with you now." The weight of his words hangs heavily in the chilly air. I usher him inside quickly, away from the biting cold. As I close the door against the winter night, I feel a mix of anger and worry, anger towards my daughter, Flora, and her husband, Alvin, for letting things come to this, worry for Roy, who looks so small and vulnerable in his thin jacket. In the warmth of the kitchen, I make us hot cocoa, watching Roy clutch the mug with both hands, the steam gently curling around his face. He sips cautiously, eyes on the tabletop. "They said they're too busy with Joe, Grandpa. I think they don't want me around anymore." The simplicity of his statement, the resignation in his voice, it breaks my heart. I kneel beside him, my hand on his small shoulder. "You're always wanted here, Roy. Always." I speak firmly, ensuring my words are a blanket of certainty in his shaken world. Tonight, as he falls asleep in the guest room, looking small and lost in the bed that's too big for him, I sit by his side a little longer, watching his peaceful face. A resolve settles within me, as solid and cold as the ice outside. Whatever it takes, I'll fight for him. Roy will never have to question his place in this world, not while I'm here. This unexpected journey we're about to embark on, it starts with a promise, whispered in the quiet of a snow-stilled night. "I'll make things right, Roy. You'll see." It's only been a week since Roy came to live with me, and today is a big day. Both he and Joe turned 7. I promised Roy we'd celebrate together, so we head to Flora and Alvin's house, which is decked out for a party. But the atmosphere is off. It's Joe's big day, and Roy seems to be just a guest. Flora greets us with a bright smile that doesn't quite meet her eyes. "Happy birthday, Joe." Banners are everywhere, and the house is buzzing with excitement. Joe is in the spotlight, showing off a new magic trick to a circle of admiring relatives. Roy hovers at the edge, clutching a small gift I gave him earlier. I try to keep my tone light, and let's not forget it's also Roy's birthday today. There's a pause, then a few relatives echo me, wishing Roy a happy birthday too, but the shift back to Joe is immediate and almost seamless. As gifts are opened, Joe's pile grows while Roy sits with the few I brought, his smile a little too fixed, a little too sad. I watch this, feeling a mix of anger and sorrow, and decide it's enough. On the drive home, Roy is quiet. I glance at him and see his fingers tracing the outline of the spaceship on his new book cover. "Did you enjoy the party?" I ask, though I dread his answer. "It was okay, Grandpa. I liked the magic tricks," he replies, trying to keep upbeat. But his eyes don't match his words. That night, back at our place, he opens his presents from me under the soft glow of his bedside lamp. His face lights up with each book about planets and stars, a genuine smile finally breaking through. Putting him to bed, I kiss his forehead and whisper, "You're going to have a world of your own, Roy, full of stars and wonders." I close the door softly behind me, my mind racing with decisions yet to be made. Tonight, I'll start the process to fight for his happiness and security. Roy needs someone to stand up for him, and I'm ready to be that person. A few days after the birthday, I receive a call from Flora. She sounds uneasy, asking if we can talk about Roy's situation. I agree, setting a time for them to come over. As I hang up, a knot forms in my stomach. This conversation is long overdue, but I dread the confrontation. When Flora and Alvin arrive, they don't waste time. Flora starts, "Dad, we need to be practical about the boys' futures. Joe has opportunities that we can't ignore, and, well, it's becoming difficult to manage everything." Alvin chimes in, a rehearsed speech ready. We've decided to move closer to Joe's new school. It's a great chance for him, and honestly, it might be best if Roy stays with you for a while. Financially, it's tough to handle both. I sit there, stunned not by the news but by their straightforwardness, as if discussing a mere transaction. My voice is calm, though it belies the anger I feel. You're his parents. How can you justify abandoning him because it's financially tough? Flora looks uncomfortable, but Alvin is defensive. We're not abandoning anyone, Stephen. We're just trying to do what's best for Joe, and frankly, Roy could benefit from a quieter environment. By quieter, you mean away from his family, his twin? I ask, my tone rising slightly. They don't have an answer, just exchanged glances that say everything they don't want to. The conversation goes in circles until it's clear they've made their decision, regardless of what I say. They leave, and I'm left with a cold fury and a resolute decision. This isn't just about custody now, it's about saving Roy from growing up feeling unwanted. Later that night, as I watch Roy sleep, peaceful and unaware of the storm around him, I make a silent vow. I won't let them hurt him anymore. Tomorrow, I'll call my lawyer. It's time to take a stand, not just for Roy, but against a choice that no child should ever have to endure. Roy won't just be staying with me, he'll be staying for good if I have anything to say about it. The morning after Flora and Alvin's visit, I sit at my kitchen table with a strong cup of coffee, the previous night's conversation replaying in my mind. I can't shake the coldness of their words, or the ease with which they seemed ready to split their sons. But my resolve is firmer than ever. I will fight for Roy. I pick up the phone and dial my lawyer, an old school friend who's helped me navigate legal waters before. Mark, I need your help, I begin, and I lay out everything, Flora and Alvin's intentions, their willingness to leave Roy behind, and my determination to prevent that. Mark listens, his responses measured and thoughtful. Stephen, you have a strong case for custody, given the circumstances. It's clear you provide a stable and loving home. We'll need to document everything, gather statements, and possibly get social services to visit. I nod, even though he can't see me. Whatever it takes, Mark. I won't let Roy be treated as second best. The next few weeks are a whirlwind of preparations. Mark guides me through the legal steps, while I focus on maintaining a sense of normalcy for Roy. We spend our evenings exploring books on astronomy and our weekends at local museums or parks. With each passing day, Roy seems to laugh more easily, his eyes brighter. One evening, as we sit watching a documentary about the planets, Roy snuggles closer. Grandpa, can we see the stars through a telescope sometime? He asks, his voice full of wonder. Of course, I reply, squeezing his shoulder. We'll do that very soon. Just you and me. It's moments like these that I fight for, a simple joy, a child's curiosity, untainted by adult failures. And as I tuck him into bed that night, leaving a gentle kiss on his forehead, I whisper a promise into the quiet room. You're going to have a wonderful life, Roy. I'll make sure of it. The promise feels like a vow, not just to him, but to myself. As I step out of his room, the weight of the upcoming legal battle sits heavy on my shoulders, but the resolve in my heart is unwavering. I will protect Roy, no matter the cost. A few weeks into our routine, on a brisk evening, I pick Roy up from school. As he climbs into the car, I notice right away that something's off. His usual chatter about his day is absent, and his small face looks more drawn than usual. Everything okay, buddy? I ask as we drive. He nods, but it's half-hearted. I'm just tired, Grandpa, he murmurs, staring out the window. When we get home, I notice him wince as he takes off his backpack, and I see a bruise on his arm. My heart tightens. Roy, how did this happen? My voice is gentle, trying not to alarm him. It's nothing. I just fell down, he replies, but his eyes don't meet mine. I kneel down to his level, placing my hand on his shoulder. You know you can tell me anything, right? I'm here to help you. After a pause, he finally looks at me, his eyes welling up. Some kids pushed me down. They said it's because I don't have a real family. Anger and sorrow wash over me in equal measures. This goes beyond Flora and Alvin's neglect. It's affecting Roy in ways I hadn't even considered. That night, after Roy goes to bed, I call Mark. We need to speed up the custody process, I tell him, recounting what happened. He's not just neglected at home, it's spilling into his school life. He's suffering. Mark agrees, his tone resolute. I'll push for an emergency hearing. We can't let this drag on. Roy needs stability and safety, now more than ever. The following day, I meet with Roy's teachers and the school principal to discuss the bullying. They are supportive and promise to address the issue immediately. I feel a small relief, but know the real solution lies in changing his home life permanently. As I tuck Roy into bed that night, watching him drift into a troubled sleep, my determination solidifies. This battle for custody isn't just about legal rights, it's about giving Roy a chance to grow up loved and secure. I won't fail him. The next few days are a blur of activity. After speaking with Mark, he arranges for an emergency hearing, citing the urgency of Roy's situation. We gather documentation, statements from his school, and my own detailed accounts of Roy's condition when he first came to me. The evidence paints a clear picture of neglect and emotional harm. On the morning of the hearing, we arrive at the courthouse, an imposing building of marble and echoes. Roy clings to my hand, his small face anxious. "What's going to happen, Grandpa?" he whispers as we wait outside the courtroom. I squeeze his hand reassuringly. "We're going to talk to a judge who will help us make sure you're safe and happy. I'm here with you, every step." Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere is tense. Flora and Alvin are already there, looking uneasy. When proceedings begin, it's a back and forth of legal arguments. Mark is calm and precise, presenting the facts clearly. Flora and Alvin's lawyer attempts to downplay the situation, but the evidence is hard to refute. The judge, a stern woman with a sharp gaze, listens intently, occasionally asking pointed questions. At one point, she addresses Roy directly, her voice softening. "How do you feel about staying with your grandfather?" she asks. Roy looks at me, then back at the judge. "I want to stay with Grandpa," he says firmly. "He takes care of me." The session stretches on, but finally, the judge calls for a recess. We step outside, and I feel Roy's tension ease a bit. "Did I do okay?" he asks. "You did great," I assure him, proud of his bravery. When we're called back in, the judge is ready with her decision. She speaks of the paramount importance of a child's well-being and safety. "Given the circumstances presented, I am granting temporary full custody to Mr. Stephen Richards," she declares. Relief washes over me, so profound it nearly knocks the breath from my lungs. Flora and Alvin are stunned, their faces a mix of disbelief and anger. As we leave the courtroom, Roy's grip on my hand tightens. Outside, the air has never felt fresher, the sky more clear. "What does that mean, Grandpa?" Roy asks, looking up at me with hopeful eyes. "It means you're staying with me, Roy. You're home now, for good," I say, my voice thick with emotion. He smiles, a beautiful, genuine smile that reaches his eyes, and for the first time in a long while, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. We've won this battle, but I know our journey together is just beginning. I'm ready for it, ready to give Roy the love and life he deserves. The days following the court decision are filled with a mixture of relief and new responsibilities. Roy's presence in my home now feels more permanent, and with that permanency comes the need to formalize his environment. We spend the weekend repainting his room, a bright shade of blue, his choice, and assembling new furniture that makes it truly his own space. "Can we get a telescope, Grandpa?" Roy asks one evening, his face lit by the excitement of our new project. I nod, smiling at his enthusiasm. "Absolutely, we'll pick one out together." Shopping for a telescope turns into an adventure, with Roy taking meticulous care to choose the best one within our budget. When we set it up in his room, his eyes sparkle with the reflection of the stars he now has access to every night. School becomes easier for him, too. With the situation at home stabilized, he gains confidence. His teachers report that he's more engaged, and the bullying issues have ceased thanks to their interventions and his newfound self-assurance. One afternoon, I receive a call from Flora. It's the first time we've spoken since the court decision. Her voice is hesitant. Dad, I just wanted to see how Roy is doing. He's doing well, Flora. He's happy, I respond, keeping my tone neutral. There's a pause, filled with things unsaid. Thank you for taking care of him. I know he's in good hands, she finally says. I'll always look out for him, I assure her, and we end the call with a promise to keep her updated on Roy's progress. As summer turns into fall, I watch Roy grow not just taller, but bolder. His curiosity about the world expands, and our evening stargazing sessions often end with deep discussions about the universe. One clear night, as we adjust the telescope, Roy looks up at me. Grandpa, do you think there's anyone else out there, looking back at us? Maybe, I say, pondering his question. The universe is vast, and we're just a small part of it. But right now, I'm just glad we found each other in it. Roy smiles, squeezing my hand. Me too, Grandpa. Me too. This new chapter of our lives, marked by healing and exploration, feels like the beginning of a grand adventure. As I tuck him into bed later, leaving his room with the soft glow of a nightlight shaped like the moon, I feel a profound sense of peace. We've got a whole universe to explore, you and I whisper into the quiet room. And with that, our journey forward, under the vast, starlit sky, feels infinite. As autumn leaves blanket our yard in fiery hues, I reflect on the transformation in both our lives since Roy came to stay. His laughter now fills the house, a sound that warms me more than any fire could. Today, we're planting a tree in the backyard, a young maple that will grow alongside Roy, a living symbol of his new beginnings. Roy digs into the earth with determination, his small hands surprisingly adept. Grandpa, this tree is like me, isn't it? It's going to grow big and strong, right here. Yes, it will, I agree, helping him steady the sapling. And just like this tree, you have roots here now, deep and strong. We step back to admire our work, the tree standing proud in the soft morning light. Roy grabs my hand, squeezing it tight. I'm glad I'm here with you. I wouldn't have it any other way, I tell him, feeling a lump form in my throat. In the weeks that follow, our routine becomes pleasantly predictable. We read together, stargaze, and on weekends, explore local parks and museums. Roy's curiosity seems boundless, and I do my best to answer his every question. One afternoon, we receive a surprise visit from Flora. She's hesitant at first, clearly uncomfortable, but Roy's cheerful greeting eases the tension. Mom, look at the tree Grandpa and I planted. Flora follows him outside, watching as he shows off the maple. I watch them from the doorway, hopeful yet cautious. When Flora turns to me, her eyes are moist. He's really thriving, isn't he? He is, I confirm. He's happy here. Flora nods, taking a deep breath. I can see that. I just wanted to say thank you, Dad. For everything. We're family, I reply simply. We look out for each other. She stays for tea, talking and laughing with Roy, a hint of the old warmth between us returning. When she leaves, Roy looks thoughtful. Grandpa, do you think Mom will be okay? I think so, Roy. Sometimes, just like trees, people need a bit of time and space to find their way back to health. Roy nods, understanding more than I give him credit for. As the day fades into evening, we sit on the porch, watching the sky turn from blue to shades of pink and purple. Grandpa, do you think my tree will reach the sky one day? Roy asks, gazing at the young maple. Maybe, I smile, squeezing his shoulder. But no matter how tall it grows, it'll always be rooted right here, with us. Roy leans against me, content. Good. This is home. As the stars begin to twinkle above, I realize that this journey, though filled with unexpected turns, has brought us to a place of healing and hope. Here, with Roy, I've found a purpose that stretches beyond the years I have left, a legacy of love and care that will outlive me. In this quiet moment, under the vast, expanding sky, I know we are exactly where we are meant to be.